All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to learn to draw our very own Keith Haring inspired artwork. We're going to start by making our Keith Haring inspired figures. We're going to make these figures very simple, just like Keith Haring did. They're not going to have any facial features or a lot of details. They're going to be very simple shapes, but they're also going to be in some dynamic poses, kind of like they're dancing, like we saw in some of the Keith Haring artworks that we looked at. So the easiest way to make one of these Keith Haring figures is to start with a stick figure. So we're going to draw these on our paper. We're going to draw a couple different poses. Make these nice and big. Please don't draw them very tiny on your paper because we're going to cut these out and put them on our artwork. So give yourself plenty of room. I'm going to start with a head. Draw a circle. I want you to draw this nice and light. I'm drawing this darker than you should so that you can see it well. But I want you to draw this light because we're going to erase this stick figure. So start with a head, and then you're going to do a body. Draw a line straight down like this. And then maybe this stick figure has his arms up like this. Has one arm up like this. Now we're going to put a hand on the end of this. So do a hand, just a diagonal line like that. And then let's do the other arm going the opposite direction. Out this way. And our line going up. Let's make it even. And again, a hand going that way, a diagonal line, just like that. And then perhaps our figure here has one leg kicking out. So let's make one leg kicking out straight like that. And he has a foot coming up like that. And then so that it doesn't look like he's falling over, he's standing on one leg, but instead of making it come straight down, we're going to have it bent just a little bit like that. A diagonal line coming this way. And then a diagonal line coming back this way, so sort of a zigzag line. And then his foot is flat on the ground like that. So that is our stick figure skeleton. That's what we're going to trace around to be the base of our figure. So to make our Keith Haring figure, we're going to draw a line all the way around this skeleton that we just drew. Kind of like we're adding now a body onto the skeleton. Okay, now this figure that we're drawing here, we're going to cut this out. This is going to be our template. So if you mess up on this, it is no big deal. This isn't going to be our final drawing. You can erase this. You can have some mistakes on here. You can correct them. This is not going to be a problem if there are mistakes on this drawing. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start with my pencil, and I'm going to make the head just a little bit bigger. So I'm going to put my pencil right to the side, right about there, where I put that little dot. I'm going to make my head just a little bit bigger, and I'm coming just around the outside of the head, just a little bit. Just like that. And then I'm going to continue going around the body. And I'm going to have maybe about a finger width to each side, okay? So I'm going to come around the arm like this and around this hand. I'm going to make it nice and rounded on the end. Around this elbow. Down around the middle. And turn the corner and come up around its leg. And again, I'm going to make a nice rounded foot. Come down around the other side of his leg. Make a knee. Another foot. Notice I'm just tracing around, I'm following along this skeleton that I made. And I'm just staying maybe about a finger width away from it. I'm just tracing along. And again, if you mess up, it is no big deal because you can come back and fix it. You can move over and draw another one. I'm coming up around this second arm, make a nice rounded hand down in here and up and meet up with my head. And you can see where our body is with the skeleton on the inside. And if you've drawn that skeleton nice and light, you can do this next step if you want. You can erase that skeleton so that you can see your Keith Haring figure nice and clearly. But this is just our template. So if you don't want to worry about erasing this, you don't have to worry about it. Since I've drawn so dark so that you can see mine, it's hard for me to erase it. But I'm just going to erase it out just a little bit so you can see kind of what my Keith Haring figure is going to look like. Just a little bit. So there's one figure right there. And let me see if I can make another one in just a little bit of a different pose. So I'm going to do it the same way. I'm going to start with a head. Like that. And I'm going to do a body. Come straight down like that. And let's see, maybe this one has an arm that's coming up, straight up like this instead. It's coming kind of straight up past his head. And again, he has a hand that's coming out this direction. And then maybe his other arm is coming out this direction and is bent down. His hand is coming out this way. And then maybe he has one leg kicked out this way. And his knee is bent down this way. And there's a foot. And then his other leg that he's kind of balancing on, maybe it's bent a diagonal line this way. And then he's standing on it right there. So there's this figure. So the same way as I did for the first one, I'm going to start here up by the neck. I'm going to make the head just a little bit bigger. I'm going to trace around it. And then I'm going to trace around the whole body, keeping about a finger width between the line that I'm drawing and the skeleton on the inside to make my body a little bit wider. Make it a little bit rounder. We're not putting any details. I can't see any clothing or any of those kind of details. This isn't a realistic drawing, just like we saw with Keith Haring. We don't see any faces or anything like that on any of these drawings. But this will give us some nice figures to color some nice bright colors. So there we go. I did that one a little more quickly. Got that figure drawn, and I can come back in here if I want and erase out that skeleton. If I want to see how it's going to look without it. All right, now these are a couple figures that I've drawn. Now what I want you to do is draw a few of your own. You can draw them in any poses that you would like. I'd like you to experiment, come up with some crazy poses. They don't even have to be standing on their feet. Maybe they can be jumping up in the air. Or they can be in any kind of dance poses that you would like. I'd like you to kind of experiment with drawing a few different figures. See what you can come up with. I'd like you to draw at least 3 figures. Once you get them drawn, we're going to cut them out and we're going to work on the next steps. So get to drawing, and then we'll talk about cutting these figures out. All right, once you have finished drawing your figures, we're going to cut them out. So very quickly, I'm going to show you just a few tips. The first thing I like to do is separate them, cut out the one that I want to cut. And then the best way to cut these out, hold the figure in the hand that you're not cutting with, and then line up your scissors on the line that you're cutting. And then you're going to use your non-cutting hand, so this one that you're holding your paper with, you're going to use that hand to turn your paper. And then your hand that is holding the scissors is just going to move the scissors up and down. That's all it's going to do. So this hand with the scissors is not moving around very much. It's the other hand that's doing all the work turning the paper, especially with a shape that's sort of complicated like this. That hand is doing all the work, just turning the paper, while the other one is just working the scissors. So I'm going to speed my video up. I'm going to cut these two figures out, and I want you to do the same. Once you have your figures drawn and cut out, I will tell you in our next video about the next step for our Keith Haring inspired project.